we're live, folks.
I mean, we're slowly dying, but sure.
Sure. Some of us
faster
less
than
slowly
others.
than
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I put myself in that camp.
Just a real ray of sunshine.
Some things bring me joy, but they're few and far between in this day and age, and the corporations are just taking them away one by one.
One by one, they infiltrate your world more and more. They get their parasitical suction cups around you, and they suck.
That's the part I like.
Yeah,
That's
I know.
the part I.
We know you do.
I finally watched The Boys where he fucks the octopus. Spoiler alert.
Oh my god! Did you say spoiler alert before the spoiler? That's how it works.
It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. That's not a huge spoiler for the plot or anything.
I mean, I guess if you'd watched any episodes, it was like building up to it, right? But
I didn't know how far they would
which is such a
take
weird
it.
fucking thing to spend multiple episodes building up to.
I mean, we've definitely talked about it for multiple episodes. I just wish ours had built up to like a live stream or something.
There's this awful copy pasta about like debeaking an octopus and training it to suck you off, and it's truly one of the most repulsive things I've ever read online. And then
I bet you felt very ashamed when you just came ropes.
Just absolutely ectoplasmed my whole room. No. To be clear, that's you, not me. Don't bring me into this.
You're
right?
Pikachus. You are Pikachus.
Not really. I mean, okay, we could say the fictional character Andrew. Yes. But speaking of, folks, welcome to Far Out Flicks. It's your host, Andrew.
I am Braden.
Yep, the other one.
The other one. Not Bob Weir.
Not. Oh, man. And we were excited to be back with you guys this week. Excited for many reasons. One, because the Patreon is live. There is bonus content available. I think you can actually just get it on the regular feed, right, Braden, for this one?
We released one this week. But for all the others that are coming, and we've got lots coming down the pipeline.
For instance, a lot of times people say, why does your podcast start on episode 2? Where's episode 1? Episode 1 sucks. It sounded bad. All season 1, is not nearly as refined, as matured as we are now. But episode 1 was literally recorded on an iPhone and sounded like ass. So we took it down. That will be available via our Patreon subscription. And it helps your favorite podcasters, or at least some of your favorite podcasters.
Keep making the show.
Or some podcasters you listen to. Keep making the show.
It doesn't pay the bills, but it might keep us making the show.
It's not even going to cover the alcohol I consume across each episode. But it will, subsidize our hosting fees. And that'd be nice.
But thank you to everyone who's subscribed so far, and we hope you're enjoying all that juicy bonus content and
our one whole episode. There's
more coming.
There's more coming.
And that one wasn't even exclusive to the Patreon. It just marked we finally are doing bonus content.
Yep, it's there.
It's hard to squeeze out that bonus content.
I know. We have
on
to
demand.
Research. We have to watch the movies, or at least most of the movies. Just kidding. We watch all the movies almost always.
Well, some of them we've seen 100 times.
It's
and
true.
Today's is one of them, honestly.
Yeah, this movie. This is the first film I saw as a child and thought, this is truly revolting. I love it, and it was number one. I mean, I'd seen some other gross shit, but this really it expanded my horizons as to just how far out film could get.
This is one of the few that my mom actually turned me on to. It was usually my dad fucking me up with weird movies.
That's pretty cool.
It was a good one.
Your mom
it was
gets
a good one.
high marks there. I don't think I could pay my mother enough money to watch this movie.
But yes, today we are talking about The Fly.
The Fly. And not to be to be specific, I should say, the 1986 The Fly.
Correct. Not the 1958 one,
No.
even though I have seen that one and it's still pretty good. I mean, I think the definitive version's the 1986 David Cronenberg one, but
Mhm.
the old one also kind of rocks.
I mean, it's kind of like The Thing, right? Like, the 80s revisit is superb. This is The Fly by, which, to just get it out of the way, David Cronenberg. So we told you we were coming back. We're doing more Cronenberg.
The Fly is his most commercially successful outing.
Yep.
And it makes sense. I think it's very accessible to a wide audience, you know? It's got a fairly straight... It's not Crimes of the Future, which
Yeah.
I would call inaccessible in many ways. This one's pretty straightforward. There's a love story. There's cool creature effects.
Yeah, there's super science. There's Jeff Goldblum.
There's a narrative structure that kind of makes sense.
Yeah. It's definitely his most accessible weird movie. I think Scanners is pretty accessible too.
But yeah, I love this movie. Jeff Goldblum carries the movie. I think, yes, the script is good. Everything's good. But his performance is phenomenal.
Yeah, he's just his, like, weirdly cool, sexy self. Like, he basically... He just is himself on screen, but with the caveat of being a super scientist.
He's like himself on cocaine.
Yeah.
Or something, he talks at like a mile a minute, especially once he's like becomes the Fly or whatever, Brundlefly.
I like particularly like when they first go back to his apartment lab, which is cool. Like I'm into that. I want to like live where I work. I had a super scientist lab at least. But they come back and of course he's just debonairly playing the piano. He's just like the perfect little playboy.
Fun fact, he is actually a highly accomplished jazz musician in real life. He really plays the piano in that scene, which I think it's kind of obvious that he's really doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And he has said if he hadn't become an actor, he would have been a musician, a professional musician, which is kind of neat.
Yeah. The film released to just general praise. Everybody loved it. It was a commercial success with a $60.6 million box office against a $9 million budget. And, I mean, I rented it today. So, they're still raking it in on this one.
They're still making money.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, going way back. So obviously there's the first movie. But the first movie is based on a short story called The Fly, which was written in 1957 by French writer George Langelaan. I probably butchered his name.
That's fun to say.
Langelaan. And it was published in Playboy magazine, so I guess some people do read the articles.
That was a thing. They used to always have like short stories and stuff.
It's pretty cool. I like the titties more, but
sure,
each their own. But yeah, this guy Langelaan, he was a super interesting dude. I read a little bit about him. He was friends with Aleister Crowley. And during World War II, he worked as a spy and special agent for the Allies.
Pretty cool.
And they actually did plastic surgery on this dude before he parachuted into Nazi-occupied France as a secret agent.
So it's like the Team America bit where they transmogrify him or whatever to...
Pretty fucking much, dude. And it's pretty hardcore if you ask me. And then he got caught by the Nazis and like sent to this death camp, and then he escaped. And it's a pretty wild story there.
That's a life. I have done nothing nearly that badass with my years on this earth.
And then he spent the rest of his life trying to be a writer, and the only thing that became famous was this short story that no one even cares about, except for it became these movies.
Well, I mean, that's like a pretty good accomplishment, though. I would be so. If I had written a short story that was published in Playboy and went on to inspire this film, I'd be
Oh
pretty
yeah.
content. You did all right.
No, he did just fine. I mean, I'm sure he was happy to just be alive after the Nazi death camp and all that.
Yeah,
I'd imagine.
that's probably true.
But yeah, the original film, so the short story was pretty popular immediately, and like just 1 year later, they made a film with Vincent Price, and it is different than the Cronenberg version. I think basically his head gets swapped with a fly. So there's a fly with a little human head, and then there's a human with a fly's head walking around.
That's pretty fun, though.
It's kind of fun.
Yeah. Is it as fun as what's in store?
Well, I think no. There's a lot more talking and kind of mystery and intrigue. But what is fun is the final scene. The little fly with the human head gets caught in a spider's web, and the spider's like slowly going towards it, and he's like, "Help me, help me!" Which that part's pretty fun.
That is fun. Does the spider get him?
I, I don't think. That's a good question. I can't remember. I've definitely seen it, but it's been like 20 years.
So I have not seen it, and now I'm going to have to see it. Fuck.
It's a fun one. It's a fun one. But yeah, ultimately, similar to The Thing, as you mentioned, they revived it in the 80s and made a way more badass version.
Yeah, I mean, again, I haven't seen it, but as riveting as a fly with a human head crying help me sounds, this movie packs some real body horror punch. I mean,
Oh man, it's from the master of body horror.
it is. I mean, yeah, I can't think of another name that's as synonymous with the genre.
Yeah, and the practical effects are on point. Actually, the guy who did all of the makeup and the special effects, two guys actually, Chris Wallace and Stephen Dupuis.
Dupuis?
Why are the names so hard?
I know.
Chris Wallace and Stephen Dupuis.
You're probably saying Wallace wrong, too.
Whatever. The effects were so good that Chris Wallace and Stephen Dupuis, who did all the makeup and everything, they actually won the Academy Award for Best Makeup.
Yeah,
So that's pretty exciting.
he was in some other heavy hitters. Chris Wallace, that is. Gremlins, E.T., Airplane, which is just like, I will laugh every single time I watch Airplane.
I'm trying to think of what special effects or makeup they even had in that, but
Oh,
Have you
well,
ever been in
I mean, for one, they for sure had the inflatable autopilot.
oh, that's true.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen a grown man naked? Have you ever
Do you
been in a
like-
cockpit?
Do you like Roman gladiators?
God, that movie just was so wrong and so right all at the same time.
There was some.
Watch Airplane.
And then all the suicides in it, too.
That'd be a fun one to actually cover if we get back to any comedies.
Yeah, it's far down the list, but I love Airplane. One of my all-time faves. But also Raiders of the Lost Ark.
E.T., Last Jedi, Return of the Jedi.
Scanners also. Bunch of cool stuff.
But yeah, going back to like how this film ended up getting made, I guess in the early 80s, this guy, Kip Oman, who was one of the producers, he approached screenwriter Charles Edward Pogue to write a screenplay. He wrote a few other movies that no one really cares about, like Dragonheart. Did you ever see Dragonheart?
I did see Dragonheart.
I enjoyed that when I was a nerdy kid.
Same.
Cole the Conqueror, starring Kevin Sorbo,
Mm.
who was Hercules. I was into all this. I was at the right age for all of that stuff.
There is a golden age where those films just have a great appeal to a
Young
don't know.
boy who just wants to jerk off to a sexy elf.
Yeah, I
in
was
her
gonna say it's
bobkin.
like just the right amount of fantasy and soft core porn.
I will say in Dragonheart, Sean Connery voiced the dragon, which is pretty neat.
Hmm.
That was a fun one. That was
Yeah.
I loved that movie, but I haven't seen it in like 30 years or whatever. But yeah, The Fly's his best known work, and his screenplay was quite different. It was influenced by David Lynch's Elephant Man and had some similar themes going on, but 20th Century Fox didn't love the script and wouldn't fund the film. Basically, they were kind of shopping it around to different directors. I guess at one point Tim Burton was going to direct this.
Ooh, that could have been fun, but I like what we got.
I like what we got. That would have been very different. I mean,
Yeah.
I didn't even know Tim Burton was making movies in like the mid 80s.
Well, didn't they try to like get Cronenberg early on, but he was tied up in the Total Recall that never was to do a nice little far out string connection there.
Yeah, actually, yes, you're absolutely right. At that point, he had written 12 failed drafts for Total Recall, and then basically ended up giving up on it.
But
Which,
as we discussed in the Total Recall episode, his fingerprints were still on the work.
very much so. I
Yes.
mean, all the best parts, honestly.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, then there was another guy, Robert Bierman, was going to be the director, and then his daughter died tragically, and then that he left the film, and that's when it finally went to Cronenberg. And Cronenberg's condition was he would do it, but only if he could just totally rewrite the script, which he did. He changed a lot of things about the script, but he did end up giving Pogue. They share screenwriting credits,
Hmm.
which Cronenberg insisted. So he's a nice guy, which I appreciate.
Yeah. He, deeply weird, but
Deeply,
nice.
deeply fucked up.
We love the weird though. I'm weird.
Some other fun facts. So Jeff Goldblum was not the first choice. I think Cronenberg always wanted Jeff Goldblum, but he just wasn't a well-known name. In fact, he had never starred in a feature film, really. To this day, I don't... We were just talking about this, but he carries this film so well. Why does he not have, like, the leading man role in more movies? He's always, like, a side character, right? Independence Day, Jurassic Park.
I mean, he's one of the main characters in Independence Day. You know, to say side characters underplaying his role.
He's part of an ensemble, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, he's got like as I've said before, he's very attractive. He's got a certain, sexuality about him, but I think it's a very unique sexuality. It's
Made me hard.
I bet it's like a fucking diamond. But I mean, I don't know. I don't know if I would say he's traditionally good looking. Maybe that kind of like, he definitely has like a little bit of like a nerdy air, like a attractive nerd, and that's a good thing in my mind.
Well, there's always a scientist in every fucking movie.
Well, he
I think
comes
in all
across
three
as
of those-
intelligent, right? Like I feel like that is something probably because is fucking smart as shit. So I mean, I don't know. I think he just maybe wasn't jacked enough for the direction that like leading role men
That's
were
fair.
going at the time. We're talking from this movie on. We're like going into prime time, late '80s or through
Arnold
the '90s.
Schwarzenegger,
Action,
action
yeah,
hero.
shredded as a Julian salad. Action heroes.
Agree. He's not like beefy like that, but he was in pretty damn good shape in this movie.
And he's tall too. He's a very tall man.
But yeah, he wasn't. Originally, they offered John Malkovich, Mel Gibson. The list of
Mel
people
Gibson
who
would have been
almost-
fun. I would have
Mel
liked.
Gibson would have been fun. He turned it down to make Lethal Weapon, which ended up. He wrote a whole career off Lethal Weapon, so
He made a
that
lot
was
of
his
money
big
on that
break.
franchise. Yeah.
Dude, I used to love those when I was a kid.
Yeah.
I learned today that there's I want to say it's called Mr. Beaver or something, but there's a movie where he just has a beaver puppet on his arm the entire film.
Haven't
done some
actually
weird
heard of that
stuff.
one. That's pretty sweet though. I'm gonna check it out.
And I think you were telling me about Fat Man.
Oh, the
Which
Fat
sounded
Man,
pretty-
yeah, where he's like a hitman Santa Claus. that well, I'll keep my comments to myself on that, but like obviously Mel Gibson's a very controversial character. In fact, the fact that he's making movies at all is kind of mind blowing. Like I would have assumed a decade ago he was done for.
I think he got canceled early enough that like now he's uncanceled.
Yeah, he went full circle or whatever. I also know that he is obscenely wealthy from The Passion of the Christ, so I know he was able to bankroll and produce some films with himself in them for a while, like off of his own. He has a production company, so that is at least in some part.
That'll do it.
Yeah, I mean that'll do it.
That'll do it. And other actors that were considered were Willem Dafoe, which I can totally see Willem Dafoe in this role, actually. Michael Keaton. I can also imagine Michael Keaton doing it.
I think my pick would be. I mean, Jeff Goldblum was perfect for the role, but
he was perfect.
I would have liked to watch Mel Gibson turn into a Brundlefly, and I also think John Malkovich would have been fun. Did he have hair back then?
Yes, I believe he did have hair back then. Not a whole lot, maybe, but
there's a bald man who doesn't just play villains. Tip of the hat to John Malkovich, because I know as a bald man, hats are important.
That's true, but he does play a lot of villains. Well, I mean, wasn't he a villain in Con Air?
Yes, he was.
He plays, and I mean, Linian of Mice and Men.
Yeah, all right.
I'm not going to call him a villain, but he does kill that woman.
Sure, but all right. Fine.
And
point taken. Fuck you. I just wanted to have a... Can I not have one? I guess Bruce Willis. That's my bald hero.
But yeah, you get Bruce Willis.
Actually, when I first started losing hair, I read like an old interview with Bruce Willis right after he'd first started shaving his head. And he was just like, yeah, I mean, no sense fighting it. Like, it's happening. He's like, I'm just going to own it instead. And I was like, sweet. You're giving me hope, Bruce Willis. You're giving me hope.
That is the move. Just like I own my weird balls. Anyway.
Hey, man, there's a demand, a market for that kind of thing.
Glad to know there's a market for that, though. It does give me hope.
You can have an OnlyFans anytime you want.
Yes, I can.
Yeah, don't subscribe to the Patreon. Don't make us make an OnlyFans.
But yeah, so for the role of Veronica Queef, Cronenberg cast Gina Davis, who at that time she was Jeff Goldblum's actual girlfriend.
Doesn't he have a thing for that, dating his female co-stars?
I believe he does. Which apparently Cronenberg was actually reluctant to cast her because he didn't want the two stars to be dating.
Oh, so they were dating before.
They were dating before.
Ah, okay.
And it was actually Jeff Goldblum who petitioned her to be cast in that role.
Please hire my girlfriend.
And Jeff Goldblum has a very distinctive speaking way.
Yeah.
And apparently an issue on set was that she was they had spent so much time together that she was doing all these Jeff Goldblumisms.
Oh yeah, kind of. You just become the person you're dating.
Yep, pretty much.
Yeah.
Originally, that role was they wanted Linda Hamilton of Terminator to do it.
Ooh.
But she turned down the role after reading up the scene about where the character gives birth to the giant maggot.
Oh yeah, I could see how that might push some actresses away from the role.
Yeah, I could see it. But I mean, also it's iconic.
It is iconic.
Anyone who doesn't know this movie, first of all...
By the way, we're going to start really spoiling shit pretty much from here.
There's no way to not spoil this one. I mean, the premise is fairly straightforward. It's fairly straightforward, but it's about a man who slowly mutates into a fly, which, literary reference, Franz Kafka's The Metamorphosis. You ever read that one?
I have not. I know that I should have, but...
That's a good one. Classic French existentialist literature about a man who wakes up and he's like this giant hideous beetle, which in college I had a crazy mushroom trip. This is one of the craziest stories I have, but I took mushrooms and I didn't tell any of my roommates, and I was down in the basement, and I literally thought I was they hit me hard, man. And I kind of thought I was a deformed, asymmetrical mutant bug thing.
Yeah,
And
one
then
time in college I had also consumed some fungi, and I'd like wrap myself in a comforter at one point, and like
the cocoon.
yeah, I thought I'd turned into like a caterpillar, like thing.
How did that feel for you? Because I felt like I'd lost my humanity, and I wept for my lost humanity.
I don't think I cared for it very much either.
It was deeply intense. I was like, all I want to do is just hug another human being and have that human connection again.
I mean, I think like the prospect of becoming any kind of chimera is, like a little unsettling.
It's
It's
to say the
unsettling,
least.
but there's something about like it being a bug, right? And like that's like what really gets under people's skin, I think, about this one, because I mean, like they're just fucking fast moving plants, right? And like at least if you were a plant, like you're just there. But I don't know. I mean, a
Right.
human plant chimera could be terrible, or it could be really sexy. I don't know.
Insects have no charisma.
I
Like a
guess that's what poison
grasshopper-
ivy is, right? Like poison ivy is a human plant chimera, and she's
Is
sexy. Yeah, dude, she like excretes
Oh,
pheromones.
I thought you were
and-
talking about the actual plant.
No, no, the Batman hottie.
Well, that's pretty fun.
But
I
yeah.
know, or I mean, if like it was about a man turning into a dog, everyone would be like, "That's cute."
Yeah, but I mean, like bugs are just like all they do is react to stimulus. There's nothing going on there. I mean, you can get all philosophical about it, but the bugs are the simplest moving organisms that we can like see with the naked eye, pretty much. Like other than
Dude.
slime molds, I guess. But
Grasshoppers, locusts, they creep me out, man. Like people talk about birds being robots. Maybe you've heard this wacky
yeah,
conspiracy
birds aren't
theory.
real. Yeah.
I fucking feel like grasshoppers aren't real. I mean, they're real, but they're almost mechanical.
Well,
in their
they
nature.
have the little mechanical grasshoppers. Those were some like the early robots. That were made for locomotive purposes, slope like exclusively or whatever. I don't care for them, and I don't care for living bugs either, for that matter. I don't think. I mean, some people do. There's bug nuts, right?
They're an important part of the ecosystem, Andrew.
Some of them, sure. I'm certain that we could do without for many of them. But yeah, it's just like, I don't know. It gets under people's skin. I mean, I would just much rather be like a fucking golden retriever human hybrid, right? Like, I just got sweet long locks, golden long locks. Everybody wants to pet me. Way better than being mixed with a fucking fly.
Sounds like a furry's fantasy.
It is a furry's fantasy.
I don't think there's
not a
any
furry.
furries out there who cosplay as bugs, and there's a reason for that.
I am sure there is someone somewhere.
You know,
Or-
their reproductive organs are less defined.
I think that you would be like just as likely to have a insect furry, like I go to conventions thing, as you would an insect furry, I wait outside people's apartments to murder them thing. So, that's just my 2 cents. I think it's, why would you want to be an insect?
It's concerning. It's concerning. Anyway, so this man, Jeff Goldblum,
Super scientist.
he
Super
becomes a
scientist.
fly. We'll get into all the details of how that happens.
Mhm.
But interestingly enough, one of the themes and the big metaphor of the whole film essentially is an analogy of like cancer or like some disease that just slowly eats you away, which
Or
is
aging, even. Just like the...
aging. It's terrifying.
And we'll come back to that, as we progress through the Brundlefly.
It's terrifying. It was released at like right when the AIDS epidemic was hitting.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people thought it was all just an allegory about AIDS. But Cronenberg himself has said this is about aging. It's about cancer. It's about dying. Which does kind of strip you away of your humanity in a lot of ways and make you become... You lose your human form. You lose your dignity and all of that in a lot of ways. It's intense, man.
But
It's
then you
intense
get to
about.
go to heaven. So,
Or hell if you're us.
I mean, I'm willing to wheel and deal once I get to those gates.
Oh yeah, I'm wheeling and dealing on my deathbed. That's when you just hedge your bets. The last moment. I'm not above that.
But yeah, getting old sucks. That's the thing. I think that this
It's
makes me
terrifying.
feel old, having that knowledge in my head, just contemplating the age setting in.
Dude, I'm about to have another birthday. I am dying. I am dying. Like, everyone there, if you're thinking about subscribing to our Patreon, just remember these are the pleas of two dying men.
I mean, I plan on living for 100 more years at least, but
I mean, if the technology comes, we're definitely going to need that Patreon money to afford it.
yeah,
Let's put it that way.
how else will I buy my Ghost in the Shell robot body?
There's only going to be one way, or you just upload your consciousness,
Why?
Lawnmower Man
So I can
style.
get teabagged by a bunch of Zoomers in 20 years. Yeah, no thanks.
That's going to be a part of it. That will definitely be a part of it.
I don't know. I think Zoomers are actually opposed to teabagging. I read like an article.
It's offensive. It's offensive, and it hurts people's feelings.
It's part of gaming culture, and you will never take that away from us. That's ours.
I don't know if we want to get into the plot of the film yet, but a few more credits. Let's just go ahead and say it. Howard Shore did the music.
Yep.
He collaborated with Cronenberg on every one of his films except for The Dead Zone.
Oh,
But he does a fantastic score in this. And he actually teamed up with Cronenberg later in 2008 to create an opera based on The Fly.
which is a lot of fun.
That is fun. Critically panned, but still sounds kind of neat. If I was going to see an opera, that's what I'd want to go see.
The cinematographer Mark Irwin also is a regular Cronenberg collaborator. He did Scanners, Videodrome, The Dead Zone, and then obviously The Fly as well. I
Yeah,
think
Cronenberg brought in his crew, his people.
he also worked with Wes Craven on a few films, which I mean it's not like an apple to apple comparison, but Wes Craven did some truly disgusting things with film as well in the 80s. So love it.
Love it. But yeah, let's dive into the story here. So essentially, Jeff Goldblum plays this guy, Seth Brundle, which is a fun name.
It is a fun name.
And it lends itself well to the Brundle Fly, which he will ultimately become.
Mm-hmm.
And he's at kind of this like meet the press science convention thing, and he meets this journalist, Veronica Quaife. And of course, Jeff Goldblum, being the ultimate bachelor, just tries to get in her panties immediately.
And this, like, it speaks to me because I think on some subconscious level that was like my dream when I was a young boy, was to be a debonair super scientist who got all the babes and had a sweet laboratory like fucking Dexter, attached to the house.
Is that what you were thinking as you displayed your volcano at the science fair? This is going to get all the babes.
Yeah, I am going to be a ladies' man. Do you want to see my egg drop contraption?
So yeah, he's trying to bang this chick.
Yeah, obviously
That's
laying
still
it
okay
on
to
her.
say, right?
Yeah, I mean that's what he's doing.
He takes her back to the lab, and of course I was thinking this when I was rewatching it last night or whatever. Fucking immediately he brings her back. He's like, I'm going to show you all this technology and what I'm working on. It's going to change the world.
Yeah, he's frankly lucky she didn't put a bullet in the back of his head and just haul ass with the tech to China.
But the second they get back to the lab, she's like, all right, let's see this. And he's like, hold on. I'm going to play the piano. And I'm going to seduce you for the next 15 minutes. And I'm not going to show you the tech until you're take off your clothes.
Until you're primed and ready.
Yep.
She doesn't get nude to see the tech, though.
Not at this part.
No, not
Later.
yet. Not yet.
Later.
There's some nudity.
There's nudity. But yeah, he's got these pods. These telepods is what he calls them. And he shows her the technology. Of course, If she wants to see the technology, what he requires from her is for her to take off her stocking, which is very sensual.
Yes.
Classic
Indeed.
Goldblum move.
Women don't wear stockings really anymore.
But yeah, he teleports her stocking. So that's it. One telepod is a disintegrator, and then the other one's a reintegrator in his terminology. So yes, this technology would change the world. Fuck, if there would be no more airplanes, basically. You'd probably go to an airport and it would just be full of
Dude,
telepods.
people are still waiting on bated breath for the first fucking teleporter. Why are we not there yet?
Why don't we have hyperloops yet? What was that about? That was another false promise from Elon Musk.
Well, gotta get that stock price up somehow.
Dogecoin to the moon.
Dogecoin. Oh, I mean, hey, I made money on Doge.
I just only lost money. But
You gotta know when to hold a brain and,
To
when,
that
and when
point-
to fold them.
patreon.com/far
Oh my god, you shameless whore. Can we fucking get back to this film? Like, get your fucking car repossessed or something today, man? What's going on over
I
there?
just hate my job. I just hate my day job. Is that okay? Is that okay with you, Andrew?
Yeah, it's fine,
All
guess.
I want to do is desperately quit and just watch movies full time and talk about them. Is that so much to fucking ask?
Is it so
America?
unreasonable that I want to have a 6-figure income and just lay around the couch getting fatter watching movies all day?
Dude, I'll be happy with a 5-figure income at this point. Anything. A 3-figure income.
And the more people that subscribe, the longer we hold off from putting advertisements in. It'll happen someday.
One day. But then the subscribers will get ad-free content. It all fucking works out.
Yeah. But not yet. We're not going to twist your arms yet. That hard. We're asking nicely.
Don't make Andrew show up with his fucking Pikachu at your house.
And his bald head. I'll make it extra bald and polished like a marble countertop.
Blind you like fucking Daigoro and Shogun Assassin.
Like Daigoro and Shogun Assassin, yes. Except I can't do the bangs. We'll have to glue them onto my forehead. It's the only way that I can get that look.
Oh, okay. We've gone off the rails.
It's off the rails.
But yeah, of course, immediately after showing her, she's a journalist. Of course, she wants to make her fame off of this.
Yeah, so she records him. And, I mean, friendly reminder, single-party consent states are like most U.S. states. So people can record your shit without your permission if you're saying stuff, like, almost everywhere. So just keep that in mind on, when you're telling this stranger you just met about your billion-dollar idea.
Fair.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, immediately he's like, no, I showed you that so I could, so we'd bang.
Not so you could record me.
Exactly. And then he just keeps chasing her, man. He just keeps chasing her. He's like, let's go get a cheeseburger, blah, blah, blah.
She does try to take the recording to, her boss or whatever.
Her boss and her boyfriend. So, I mean, I don't want to, sound misogynist, but this woman is sleeping with everyone in this world who might be able to get her ahead.
I mean, have we confirmed that she sleeps with her boss?
Yeah, it's her boyfriend.
Oh, it's the same person. That's right.
She is dating that guy, Stathis.
Or was dating him.
Well, no, at the beginning of this, she is dating him, and she basically leaves him for Jeff Goldblum, for that Brundle dick.
I mean, dude, it's Jeff Goldblum. He's enchanting.
Exactly. I get it.
But yeah, then they go to McDonald's. It looks like, I mean, I can't say for sure it's McDonald's, but it looks like what I remember McDonald's looking like,
In the
first
80s?
Yeah, exactly. I just wish I could take girls to McDonald's. It's affordable. date option in these
Not even
trying
affordable
times.
anymore.
You're right. Nothing is.
Nothing is. Damn it, inflation.
You will eat the bugs.
Damn it, you Russian invasion of Ukraine. I only said that to trigger Andrew.
I'm not even triggered. I'm untriggerable.
But yeah, her boyfriend is her boss and blah, blah, blah. He doesn't believe it. And then later on, she essentially leaves. I guess he's the editor of the magazine.
Yeah.
She leaves him for Jeff Goldblum because guess what? Jeff Goldblum's going to have even more money than this dude.
Because he knows how to work the hips the right way, too.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, her dating prospects are really good. Let's just talk about that for a second.
She's doing just fine.
Yeah.
And she was dating Jeff Goldblum in real life. So, I mean, Gina Davis, she was living the dream.
1986, good year. Good year.
Good year for Gina Davis. But yeah, so they do end up sealing the deal. And
Well,
basically, in the lab, they teleport a steak. It doesn't really taste right. And he kind of explains to her he can only teleport inanimate objects. All of the organic matter hasn't really turned out right, which he proves to her by trying to teleport a baboon. Remember this scene?
Mm-hmm.
And the baboon, it basically turns inside out, and when it reintegrates, it's like a squirming mass of
nerve endings
and flesh, and it's just all fucked up.
Yeah, pretty fucking brutal.
But later, he does successfully teleport the baboon. And fun fact about the baboon they used on set, its name was Typhoon. And it was basically a wild and unpredictable animal. And it was just kind of going crazy. And when the lights flashed, it broke the door of the telepod and was going crazy on set.
Dude, they're strong, man.
Well, Jeff Goldblum, who is quite tall again, he physically dominated the baboon into submission and gained the baboon's respect.
That's how nature works sometimes. Again,
That's how monkeypox started.
that
I don't want to get into this again, but I was thinking about monkeypox, how it started. Jeff Goldblum might have been patient zero. I don't know. He
was
physically dominated that monkey.
so long before monkeypox.
You don't know that. They've been suppressing this information, Andrew.
Indeed.
I was thinking about this, though. How hard would it be to fuck a monkey? Have you ever thought about that in detail?
I mean, yeah, I suppose you could try and woo the monkey first, perhaps with a
Possibly.
nice Chianti,
They're quite strong. I mean,
I think you would just as likely be fucked by the baboon.
That's what I was thinking, because if you tried to fuck a baboon, it's going to just rip your dick off if it's not into it.
What if it's into it, though?
But monkeys do hump things. Have you seen that video where the chimpanzee fucks the frog?
Yes.
And then when it's done fucking the frog, it just slams it against a rock and kills it?
It's pretty awful. Yes, I have
That's
seen
awful.
that. I've seen the primate use a frog as a pocket pussy.
But
what is with you in these videos? He sent me another video of a walrus fucking a penguin. I mean,
that was not CGI, my friend. That is a cultural thing that is happening within the walrus community. They have learned this. It's learned behavior. One learned how to do it.
Yeah, one brave pioneer.
Now it is a thing.
Oh my God.
No, I don't condone that. I don't condone it. But I'm just saying,
it's
as
nature.
a person
There's
who's
nothing to condone. You know what I mean? The animals are going to do what they're going to do.
As a person who is engaged with this endlessly fascinating world in which we live in, I want to know about stuff. I want to know what's going on. I want to know what's going on out there with these
This
penguins.
is the hot goss of the animal kingdom.
Penguins, dude, penguins deserve it. They also rape each other to death. And
yeah, but the men sit on the egg for some species. And
But yeah, later on,
So he successfully teleports a second baboon. He doesn't turn it into a cluster of innards. He manages to teleport another one, which, like, man, there is like some serious ethical breachings going on here. Like,
Dude, scientists do experiments on monkeys all the time.
yeah, like they fucking try out mascaras and shampoos on them, man. But like,
Dude, they do worse stuff than that. I mean, you know that
why
I
wouldn't
hate to
you?
keep
Why
bringing up
wouldn't you
Elon
do?
Musk, but he kept putting in those Neuralink, yes,
Sure,
the chips in
because
the
that has to do with the brain.
monkeys' brains, and they kept dying.
Yes, but that's because they're like intelligent enough for like useful data to be scried from that fucking weird super
I
science.
mean, yeah, I guess he didn't have to go straight to primate. He could
Dude,
have
if
tried
you're-
it with like a goldfish first.
Exactly, or like a rat. Lab rats. I feel better, even though they're pretty smart and they're kind of cute. It's like a little ratatouille.
I feel no sympathy for baboons, though. Give me a different kind of monkey, sure, all day. Spider monkey, good. Something that like can wear a diaper and be your friend.
Well,
Baboons.
I was
look
gonna
evil,
say
though.
on baboons, the not the High Point, the Ashboro Zoo in North Carolina has a huge baboon exhibit, and I had the pleasure of checking it out a few years ago. I mean, we're talking like 50 baboons, maybe more, lots of baboons.
Damn.
And in a single like 10-minute viewing, I saw baboons grooming each other. I saw like a mother nursing a baby baboon. And I also
Aw.
saw baboons fighting and baboons violently having sex with each other. And one of them threw shit at the glass, screen right in my general direction. But it was best exhibit there. I mean, I really, check it out. Check it out, North Carolina Flickers.
Good
Or
old
if you just
troop
go to
of
your fucking
baboons.
zoo. Your zoo's got a baboon.
I mean, that is fascinating.
There was a big brawl. There was like a lot of baboons fighting. It was sweet. It was like a West Side Stories gang fight minus the dancing and catchy tunes.
More like a fucking prison riot. I feel like you get a whole bunch of humans in an enclosure where they're trapped. They'll throw shit at you too. They'll rape each other too. They'll try to kill each other also. All the same shit happens on 60 Days In.
Well, I mean, yeah, like in American prisons, like Swedish prisons where they have like PlayStation 5s and fucking
Where they're listening to our podcast right now and
Yeah.
they're like, "Yeah, I'm gonna download that later.
yeah.
I think I'll rent The Fly."
Oh, yeah, it's a bad troubling thing, American prison systems.
So anyway, at one point, Seth, played by Jeff Goldblum, he has 3 telepods, and what they basically do is you put one thing in one telepod, another thing in another telepod, and they'll merge together, which, why the fuck would you make this, first of all?
It's a bad idea.
But in a deleted scene, which is
That's
on
because
YouTube,
how else are we gonna get fucking anime cat girls, bro?
it's all leading up to that. But yeah, there's a deleted scene where, and this is on YouTube, highly recommend checking it out, where he puts the baboon in one of them and then a house cat in the other. And on the other end comes a horribly deformed monkey cat. And he opens the telepod door and the monkey cat just immediately attacks him and he has to bash it to death with a lead pipe.
I would, if I had this technology, just be making all kinds of crazy hybrids every single day. It's like my own creepy crawlies easy bake oven, but I can make, fucking.
That's just a lot of mouths to feed, man. What are you gonna bash them all with a lead pipe? Is that part of this fantasy, or
I think
are you gonna keep them?
I think knowing what I know from having seen that scene, I would just be better equipped than having to resort to a lead pipe. I would keep a giant executioner's axe just like right beside the pod door.
You're fucked, man. Anyway, at a certain point, we're not gonna get on all the details, but Veronica Queef, she fucking runs off. She's gonna go confront her ex-boyfriend, the editor.
Yep.
And Seth gets all jealous, which, interesting little tidbit, Jeff Goldblum, who was actually dating Gina Davis during all of this, actually was getting jealous and had to be kicked off set because he kept showing up during her scenes with the other guy, which that's just not a very Goldblum move.
No.
I don't want to think of him as being that insecure.
Jealousy doesn't look good on anyone.
No, usually it's just a self-fulfilling prophecy, if nothing else.
Oh, yeah, you make it happen. You bring it into existence.
But yeah, basically Seth gets hammered, and then he's like, all right, fine, well, I'm going to teleport myself. And he tries to do it, but a fly goes into the other telepod, like an actual housefly.
Yep.
And he comes out normal. He comes out seemingly normal, but then he slowly morphs into this fly monster the rest of the film.
I mean, he's better than normal. He's super strong, and he's
doing all these gymnastics moves, and he's fucking for hours.
His libido's way up. Yeah, he's fucking laying pipe.
Which, spoiler alert, he puts a little fly baby inside of her, a Brundle fly baby.
We never get to see the baby for sure.
Oh, another deleted scene though.
Ooh.
There was an alternate ending where you see the baby. Well, I guess she keeps having nightmares once she finds out he's turning into a fly, and one of the nightmares is that she gives birth to this giant squirming maggot.
Yep.
It's like 2 feet long or whatever.
Yep.
Alternate ending of the film, happy ending. Was that she gives birth to a baby that has these beautiful butterfly wings.
That's
also
not so.
It's just not the ending you want.
No, if you're gonna have the baby,
have it be a monster.
Have it be a monster. It's like, and maybe we'll get to this one day, but the film Splice, I feel like, is very, very heavily inspired by this, which is another horror gene mashup kind of who's gonna murder, rape who film. But that's like spoiler alert for that one. There's some pregnancy involved there.
Well, speaking of influences, I didn't read any quotes from David Cronenberg pointing to this, but this seems like it's clearly influenced by Altered States. It's kind of a similar premise, is it not?
It is, minus like the whole psychedelia end of it.
I like the psychedelia.
I do
aspect.
too. I do too. But I also like giant fly monsters. So yeah, I mean, we get to watch Seth turn into the fly. There's a sweet scene where he arm wrestles this dude in a bar and just snaps his arm in half.
And then, yeah.
Which is actually, like, happens sometimes if you watch competitive arm wrestling. Like, sometimes people's arms just, like, go all Stretch Armstrong.
I would imagine if you're watching competitive... This is pure speculation. But,
like,
when you watch NASCAR, you're hoping they're going to crash a little bit. A little part of you. I'd imagine if you're watching competitive arm wrestling on ESPN, a little part of you, or maybe a lot part of you, is hoping you're just going to see it snap like a twig.
Yeah. So he picks up some floozy.
Immediately when he breaks this dude's arm, this chick wants to go home with him.
he's still feeling amped up, man. Oh, yeah. To your point, sure, his display of physical prowess has got her into him. And he's feeling all amped up, so he's trying to buck. So he takes her back to the lab apartment.
Yes. And basically he ends up trying to push her into the telepod machine so that she can teleport. And she's like, no, I'm afraid. And he's like, don't be afraid, because at this point he's like going crazy. And right in this scene, Veronica enters and she says, yes, be afraid, be very afraid.
Which is the tagline from the marketing.
And it's so classic. That's used in so many movies. It's referenced so often. Mm-hmm. And apparently, fun fact, Mel Brooks, go figure, Mel Brooks, the comedy genius, is the guy who came up with that line. Because I don't even think we mentioned it, but Mel Brooks is the one who ended up funding this film, and it was his production company that got it made.
Love Mel Brooks.
But when he said that to Cronenberg, he thought it was so brilliant that he added that to the film.
And Mel Brooks is brilliant.
But then, Dude, of course. Young Frankenstein and so many others.
And Airplane.
And Airplane. And,
Robin Hood Men
there's
in Tights.
so many.
Yeah.
Blazing Saddles.
Blazing Saddles.
The
oh my
list
gosh.
goes on and on.
Yeah.
But at this point, he still has not accepted he's becoming the Fly yet.
It's becoming pretty obvious, too.
And Veronica's like, "You look bad. You smell bad." To which he replies, "Well, I've never been much of a bather." But she informs him that he was growing these weird hairs out of his back. She took them to a lab and they analyzed them and said they weren't human. And, she tells him, "You're sick. You're becoming an insect." To which he says, "You're jealous. I'm free. I've been released. Does this look like a sick man to you?" And then he starts punching everything and punching through these wooden beams.
Yep.
Which, yes, he looks a little bit sick.
Or like a superhero, but somewhere in between the two.
Somewhere in between. I think it's a fine line. Many superheroes are mutants.
I read this, the name's going to escape me, but it's like a alternative timeline Marvel knockoff where basically it's just like the dark universe or whatever. And when Steve Bannon was blasted with the gamma radiation, instead of turning into the Hulk, he turned into this semi-invincible, just massive tumors, and they just kept constantly growing and popping. And he just basically turned into this living fucking flesh mound. Super cool.
Very interesting.
I'll figure it out.
I don't think his name was Steve Bannon. I think that's isn't that the Trump guy?
Oh, is it David Banner?
Bruce Banner.
Bruce Banner. Oh my gosh, so wrong.
Steve
Whatever.
Bannon, very different. The Hulk is actually, I just want to say this while we're on it.
Steve Bannon.
The Hulk is actually one of the more interesting comic book superheroes. He seems pretty straightforward, but there's a lot of alternate timelines with him, and there's a lot of, there's a red Hulk, a yellow Hulk. I'm not that nerdy about it, but I appreciate the Hulk.
Yeah, there's another dystopian Marvel work, and this one's gonna escape me as well. But the Hulk survives an atomic blast or whatever, and makes a bunch of incest babies with She-Hulk.
Yes.
And their offspring.
Yep, I've heard about that. I haven't read it, but that's really messed up. And
it's pretty fucked up. It's pretty fucked up.
I don't know if they're gonna make a Marvel movie about that run. But
probably not. I imagine
watch it.
It's like The Hills Have Eyes and Thor Ragnarok have a baby.
Pretty exciting. Well, Veronica, did we already say she gets pregnant? I think we did.
Yeah, when he was in stallion mode.
She decides, holy fuck, I've got a monster inside of me. I need to have an abortion now. Which, not to go on that hot topic, because it's been in the news lately, but
Sure.
I think if there's ever a time where someone should be allowed to perform an abortion, it's after they've fucked a giant man fly.
Yeah, it's after they have been impregnated with brundlefly seed.
Even though if Jeff Goldblum's involved, I say keep it. Quite a talented man.
Quite a talented man.
Arguably,
why wouldn't
genes.
you want to have his deformed offspring?
It'll be a fantastic jazz pianist and actor.
And it'll also be a living monstrosity.
But at this point, Brundlefly shows up at the abortion clinic.
Oh, by the way, the abortionist is David Cronenberg.
Yes.
The abortion doctor. Not
wait,
abortionist. That's
wait,
not a thing.
wait. He's not the abortion doctor. In the dream, David Cronenberg is the doctor that delivers the baby. He is the gynecologist. He is not the abortion doctor.
Ooh, I fucked up.
But yeah, the Brundlefly kidnaps Veronica from the abortion clinic. And at this point, the asshole, the guy who's been portrayed as the asshole the whole film, the editor of the magazine, Stathis.
Gina's side piece.
He is the villain the whole first half of the movie. Now he's going to kind of live up to this hero role where he basically gets a shotgun and goes down to Brundle's lab. And he's going to confront him and hopefully blow his brains out and save the day. Well, it doesn't quite work like that.
Oh, I just want to touch on it. Brundle plan, at least at one point, has the plan to basically fuse another human in to like increase his like admixture of human to fly. And now is planning on fusing himself, Ronnie, Veronica, and their unborn baby to become the ultimate family.
I love that. Big happy family, all in one body.
All in one body.
Very, that's an interesting concept. That is an interesting concept.
Well, if you watch Society, which I referenced, I'm pretty sure in last week's episode, you'll get just that.
Good. I want to watch that. We're watching that soon.
Yeah. I'm going to keep talking about it until I get to rewatch it again for research purposes.
But yeah, he, at this point, Brundlefly, he's trying to force her into the telepod to live out this sick, twisted plan of them all becoming one organism. And he actually manages to push her in the pod, and then, well, she tears his jaw off, and then he finally becomes the final phase where he becomes a giant fly.
Yeah, he sheds his skin. He molts away the remnants of Steve Brundle.
It's worth saying there are like 7 different stages of his progression into the full Brundlefly metamorphosis. At one point, he kind of looks like Toxic Avenger, honestly.
Yeah. He looks
But by the end, she like tears his jaw off and like all of his skin melts. And it's really cool. I was reading about how they did this effect where his eyes melt out, but they did it with condoms lined with KY jelly.
Resourceful.
That is. And, you know, at this point, he literally does look like a weird bipedal fly monster. And at this point, also, it's worth saying, like, they use a puppet. Up to this point, it's really been Jeff Goldblum in a costume. Now it's like this giant life-size puppet, which is pretty fun.
Also, before he turns into Brundlefly, he ejects his digestive enzymes on Stathis' hand and foot, melting away both.
Dude, the scene where he melts his hand is pretty awesome. And then there's also a deleted scene where after he melts his foot off, he consumes it with his weird
fly proboscis.
Yes, proboscis. That's the word I needed. Which is pretty fun, but it kind of looks like shit. I see why they cut it out.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he gets her in the pod. He's in the pod. At this point, Stathis fucking rises to the occasion. Now with only one hand and one foot. He grabs the shotgun and like shoots out the wires going at the telepod. Veronica manages to escape, and then somehow this was a little bit of a stretch, but it was cool anyway. Somehow, since there's nothing in the other telepod, he fuses with the telepod itself.
Well, he's like halfway breaking out of it. So yeah. he's like partially out of the telepod.
When he comes out on the other side, he does disappear, and when he comes out on the other side, there's like chunks of metal like protruding from his back, and he has become one with the equipment itself.
Which, like, there's something horrifying about, I mean, fusing with a fly is pretty bad, but at least you can move around. But like being like fused, you know, to some inanimate steel object.
Yeah, that's a horrible way to die.
So the Montauk Project is a conspiracy theory that alleges that the U.S. government basically had some time travel experimentation, a time travel device. And that basically, I mean, it is like the Montauk Project is part of this, but the Philadelphia experiment is what I was specifically thinking of, which claims that aboard the USS Eldridge, a time travel device was activated. The Eldridge disappeared from existence, came back into existence, and when it came back, like, crew members were like fused to the hull of the ship and all kinds of weird shit. But it is, I believe, ultimately just an alleged event. You know, like The amount of evidence for it is, not.
Oh, the government destroyed that evidence.
I mean, yeah, of course they would, but there is, there is some evidence, but it's not. I don't think it's a particularly strong conspiracy theory, but it's a fun one,
And I don't. Going back to the movie, so he comes out. He's fused to this metal object. One of the themes of this movie is it's kind of a love story, and then again, the other one is it's an aging and kind of like, a natural process where the body gets destroyed. I think it is worth mentioning. Veronica stuck by Brundlefly basically till the end. At the end, once he just became a hideous monster, she immediately flip-flopped back to her ex.
She did.
But, I think that is... I can kind of get the analogy, Imagine that you were married to someone who's dying. It's you're
People,
sticking by them to the end, but...
People fucking move on,
I would hope they would. I mean, kind of, hopefully after I'm dead.
Well, yeah, hopefully
it's
after.
a little premature.
Is it too much to want to be buried with my lovers like an Egyptian pharaoh?
If you do murder-suicide, you can make sure that it happens.
Yeah, I mean, I hope that you're not buried together, right? Like,
it's the only way to make sure.
Who would do that?
Oh, but another to kind of take on the film is like a bad relationship. Like she keeps coming back, even though he has changed essentially.
He's become a monster.
He will never be the Seth Brundle that she started the relationship with ever again. And at the end, she blows his fucking head off. At the end, she finally does kind of walk away from that relationship and kill it effectively. But that's exactly what happens. Once he comes out and he's fused with the metal stuff, she takes the shotgun and he's kind of begging her to kill him, and she does.
Kill me.
Pretty fun.
And she does. She grants him his release, his sweet release of death via shotgun blast. That's the movie. I mean,
that
that's
is
it.
the movie. They did make a sequel to this, which apparently was terrible. That was about their
it's
baby.
coming to HBO though, in the coming months.
The sequel is?
Yes, it is.
I feel like I have to watch it. I've never seen it. The sequel's directed by Chris Wallace, who did the special effects in this first one. If nothing else, I'm sure the special effects kick ass.
I'm sure it'll be fun.
Yeah,
maybe that'll be a bonus content episode. The Fly
there
too.
There you go.
The reflying.
Fuck, I love The Fly. And I love Jeff Goldblum. And I love David Cronenberg.
I wish he would do more horror movies, Like, I want him to
Jeff
be a
Goldblum?
Sam Neill type. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like he has so much potential that maybe he hasn't fully, given it to us.
One more horror movie, Jeff
Sexually
Goldblum. That's all I
dominating
want.
way.
One more horror movie.
Actually, David Cronenberg tried to essentially reboot this film, and they were going to bring Jeff Goldblum wanted to come back.
He only wanted to come back if Cronenberg was the director, which is important. He said working with him was great. But anyways, folks, that is all we've got for you this week. As always, like, subscribe. We've already done all this. But like, subscribe, comment, tell a friend, send us some fan mail, send us some fan art. Subscribe to our Patreon.
Do the things. And thanks for listening. We hope you had as much fun as we did. And see you next time, Flickers.
Peace.